Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to do the Booktube Real Talk tag. So this is a tag that has apparently been going around for a while, but I've magically missed it. I just saw it, I think yesterday, on Allie Covier's channel. I will link that down below. And this was originally created by Alyssa J. I will link both of their videos down below. I wasn't tagged by anybody that I know of. No one told me that I was tagged, but I saw this and I wanted to discuss. I like the topics and everything. Some real talk, some tea, some shade. Probably not, it's not that serious, but you know, let's get into it. Question one is, what's something nobody told you about Booktube before you started your channel? So in July, I think, will be my 5-year anniversary on Booktube, so there wasn't a lot of like Booktube knowledge going around anyway. Booktube has definitely grown a lot since I started, and there wasn't just a lot of like sharing of what Booktube was about and all that stuff. I think one thing that I didn't realize going into it, well, two things. One, that I would make as many friends as I did that were like in real life friends, some of which I'm going on like a family vacation with in June. Like, we're not even doing book things, we're just going and hanging out. So that was unexpected and something no one told me was a possibility, not that they would know that. And two, the amount of time it does take. I just didn't know how much time would be spent, you know, editing and reading and watching videos and learning how to edit. And if I haven't gotten a new program in years for editing, but if I ever were to, I'm paranoid too because it takes me so long to learn a new program. And just like all of the stuff that goes into it and, you know, brainstorming videos and everything, it just takes a long time. So I think I didn't know how much of my life this would take up when I first started. Number two is, what is your opinion on typical Booktube videos like wrap-ups, TBRs, hauls, etc.? I'm sure this is coming from the discussion that people are like, man, these videos are so simple and formulaic and we hate them, we want different content. Which is funny because those are the most watched videos. They are really the foundation of Booktube, in my opinion. When I find a new channel, those are the kinds of videos I watch because I see if people like the kinds of books I like, or if they are reading things that I find interesting that they might introduce me to. So those are the videos that I'm going to watch when discovering someone new. I think they're a foundation of channels. I don't think they should go away. I'm totally fine with them. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. I do think it's fun to see different kinds of videos and more creative videos and stuff like that, but also those videos take a ton of time for people and not everyone wants to do them, and they don't get very much engagement and views and stuff. Like, they're just not watched as much, and people like making videos to discuss their bookish opinions on things, and if people aren't watching them, they can't really get that engagement and discussion. Yeah, so if people really want different kinds of content, they should also watch that different kind of content. But we don't, because we know what we like. Number three is, what is an assumption you had about Booktube before you joined, and was it proven correct or not? What is an assumption I had about Booktube before I joined? This is so hard to think back and be like, what is something that you assumed? I mean, I guess a few things. One, I assumed that I was never going to reach the subscriber counts that I have, and like as of the filming of this video, I'm very close to 50,000 subscribers, which is just like, I don't even fathom that. Like, in my head, I'm like, that's not real. So that's an assumption that I made that proved to be false. My channel ended up being more popular than I thought it was going to be. Thanks. I also assumed, I think, that I would have all of this time to read more, and I did at the beginning of my channel, I feel like, but you know, now it's like I just am so busy that I don't always have that time to read. So I think I had assumptions about always wanting to have a giant TBR, which is not true, never unhauling books, which is not true, liking certain series, I guess, that I didn't end up liking that were really popular on Booktube. I can't think of some of them, but you know, that kind of thing. Like, those are all of my probably assumptions that I had before Booktube and being on Booktube myself. Number four, what is something you've done that has actually helped you grow your audience? So I have never done anything in particular that has like been for the growing of my audience. Like, I just do things that I think are fun, and sometimes that helps. So I do think that, like, I think probably most people have answered this question. If you have a decent backdrop of books, which it doesn't need to be full of books. Like, you could even just have like a TBR cart. But if you have something that depicts like, I'm a book channel, that's helpful. If you create your own thumbnails, that's helpful. Like, basically any advice for any YouTuber of like making sure your lighting is like decent or use natural lighting, making sure your camera quality is like not a webcam, making sure people can hear you, that kind of thing, I think is what has helped my channel grow the most. And honestly, like I've said before, it's like 85% luck, to be completely honest. Like, I know a lot of people like to think that if you work hard enough, you're gonna have a big channel. And while that's true, you like if you work hard, you're gonna have probably a bigger channel than you would if you didn't work hard. And the people who have big channels have worked hard over many years, but also like it's just luck. And the luck of people liking your personality, or the luck of your personality translating well on video, or you happening to like review a certain book right as it's taking off so that you get more, like something like that, or like the things you choose to talk about being things that are popular, like, and you really can't predict that or do anything to like be for more subscribers. You know, I do think engaging with the community is helpful, commenting on other people's videos and commenting on like Instagram and Twitter, or really engaging on Twitter. I don't personally engage a lot on Instagram as far as commenting on people's videos, but I talk to a lot of people on Twitter and stuff. So I feel like just being engaged and like the basic things that everyone hears is ultimately what helps me grow my channel. I'm very much like a slow and steady wins the race type person. I'm not trying to like form my content based on what's going to get the most like views or subscribers, you know, because this algorithm changes all the time, and honestly, like I don't have the bandwidth in my brain to always be chasing like what YouTube wants me to do. Number 5, what is a common mistake you see new booktubers making, or one that you made? I think I commented on this when I made like a tips for new booktubers video like years ago, but the thing that I do tend to see people doing is trying to replicate a more popular booktuber's content. And you may not think that this is obvious, but like it really is. And I can always tell when people are doing it. It tends to translate as trying to be as quirky as possible, which works if you're quirky yourself, but you can always tell when quirkiness is being forced, or when someone is doing something that is their own kind of spin on a popular booktuber's like entrance into their videos or the way they talk, but like it's not natural. And that is something that I'm always like, don't do that, because if I see that when I click on someone else's channel, I'm like, I'm not watching you. Like I need that authenticity, or at least the feeling of authenticity. Like you gotta be a really good actor, or you just gotta be like portraying your own personality. So those are the things that I think new booktubers tend to do, some new booktubers, that is problematic. I know for my own like starting of videos, I was just very timid and very shy, which is not a problem or a mistake. You just get used to talking in front of a camera, but I talked very quietly like this, and you can go back and see my first review, and it was very like proper and enunciating everything and blah blah blah. So I think you just like, there's mistakes that are made as far as like lighting or maybe editing or how you're just kind of like figuring it out. I don't consider those mistakes, but those are things that I did before. But I think the biggest one is like trying to be something or someone that you're not, or making content that you don't like making because you think it's going to have more views. Like, make the fun stuff that you like making and be yourself. And if people like you, they will subscribe, but there's no guarantee of how fast or how many or whatever, like I mentioned in previous questions. Number 6, what are your thoughts on working with publishers and sponsorships? So I have worked with publishers and I have done sponsored content. I think my thoughts mostly are that people think it happens more than it really does. There's been, as Booktube grows, obviously there becomes this greater divide, perceived divide, between smaller channels and bigger channels. And I've always seen from the beginning, even when I was a smaller channels tending to think that bigger channels get all this sponsorship, are super biased, are getting all this money, we're just raining books are falling upon us, we don't know what to do with them, and like, none of that is true. And I feel like it's an icky feel. Like, I really hate seeing this smaller, bigger booktuber divide thing that happens, because there gets to be this kind of like, we're better than you because we don't do these things or whatever. And it's just very, very icky, because I think there is this perception, if you're not involved with publishers or sponsorships, which again, don't happen very often at all, that it's like happening all the time and that you're being left out, and there's a certain amount of like jealousy, or why do those people get the sponsorships when they're not as working as hard as me? And there's all these assumptions thrown around about them, which is why I sort of hate them sometimes. But I think the actual working with publishers is cool. I think that publishers should actually respect what reviewers do even more, and possibly pay them even more. I'm talking like bookstagrammers, book reviewers, booktubers, whatever. Like, we create a lot of hype for their books without even being paid to do so. So I feel like it needs to be more of a mutually beneficial relationship a lot of times, and I think it has over the years kind of morphed a bit. Like, you don't see many sponsored reviews anymore. You see more just sponsored, like, hey, put this book in your book haul if you're interested in doing that, if it's something you're going to read, whatever. And that's a little bit, I think, better than being like a sponsored review, because people tend to have different feelings about that. And understandable. You know, it depends on the booktuber if you feel like they're being biased by that or not. Whatever, separate conversation. So I feel like things are slowly changing, but just the world of YouTube sponsorship and working with people in general is always like this ever-flowing thing. And I think if you're not like doing it yourself, you have a lot of assumptions about it that I feel like are just not true. And yeah, just if it hasn't been clear, most content on Booktube is not sponsored. Most booktubers are not sponsored. Most people that even do get sponsorships aren't sponsored for every video. I haven't seen anybody blatantly, like I personally have not seen anybody blatantly lying about being sponsored, so it's not like it's being covered up. It's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be, in my opinion. And yeah, I think it can be really good if you have a really good sponsor and a collaboration and things, and it can work really organically and seamlessly. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts. That could be obviously a whole video. I think I've done discussions on that before in the past as well. But yeah, it's always a thing with any YouTube community about YouTubers' relationship with brands and the ever-flowing messiness of that. And number 7 is, do you think Booktube is dying? I don't know where this question came from. I'm like, am I out of the loop? Is Booktube dying? Like, I don't think so, because like I said earlier in my video, Booktube continues to grow in the amount of time that I've been here. There's new booktubers all the time. I guess people are maybe seeing less views than they used to, but I think that's like an algorithm thing. I think YouTube is changing, and I'm not sure that Booktube or YouTube in general is gonna look the same for long. I feel like a lot of people and live creators are sick of the way YouTube like treats creators and like all the dynamics there, so I think that's changing. So I think Booktube will be changing along with the general YouTube scape, but I don't think Booktube itself is dying or that people are like never gonna watch Booktube. Like, no. I think all of the communities are just morphing a bit, and I think that it's gonna continue to grow as people discover it and it gets bigger and all that stuff. So no, I think Booktube is not dying, but it is going through a period of growth and change along with the rest of YouTube. So that is it for the tag. Comment below, let me know your thoughts on any of the questions that I answered. I'm not going to tag anybody because I never know who does tags, and I just don't know who like wants to do them, and I don't want to have like someone pressure to do them. And if you want to do the tag, feel free to do so. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon.